Hey folks, what's going on? Welcome to episode, what are we, 3 or 4? Probably 4 of Fish East Live. I'm your host, Ben Wu, reporting to you from Fredericton, New Brunswick, and enjoying fishing in the Maritimes. Thanks for joining us again this evening. We have a star-studded, jam-packed show that we're going to do our very best to slot into an hour and a half. And I think we can do it. But we got to get to it right away because what we're talking about tonight and what we're focusing on tonight are opportunities and what's going on with fishing, sport fishing opportunities in the province of Nova Scotia. We've gone through some pretty interesting topics over the weeks. We've covered everything from singular species like the striper episode we did. We had the opportunity to get Mike Holland, our new reinstated Minister of Natural Resources that helped us kick off the show a few weeks back. And tonight's going to be different because tonight we're not only focusing on a singular species, we're focusing on opportunities in an entire region, and that is Nova Scotia. So let's bring on my partners in crime that are going to help us navigate us through this evening. Of course, Mr. Donald Patterson. Good evening, sir.
How are you tonight?
Oh, do you like the Thursday slot?
I don't mind the Thursday slot. When we first started this, we said, hour 15, and then we go and book like 10 individual guests for a single show.
What are we thinking? What's wrong with us?
But
nobody ever said we were the
a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Well, let's make this more fun and bring our trifecta of charisma to a complete circle.
I like that.
Matt Cito, the man from Kinsack. What's going on, Matt?
Oh, I'm good, man. How are you guys?
Man, we've been working hard. I mean, I say this, and meanwhile, people will be like, "What are you working hard? You mean fishing hard?" Is more what you think.
It's terrible.
It's terrible, but the last time we were on, I think we just came off our shoot in Yarmouth and Acadian Shores, which I think we shared some details about that. And I think last week we had a pretty fun time. We targeted some muskellunge in the St. John River in the Fredericton area. Oh, let me tell you, Donnie, that's going to be an episode for the ages. I mean, we can't give away too much.
We can't give away too much because, as everyone knows, muskie are pretty elusive. So we can't say a whole lot, but let's just say you're not going to want to miss that episode when it goes to air.
Absolutely not. Yeah, it's good. It's pretty cool. Matt, we got a stacked lineup tonight, man. And this is about your province, man.
Yeah.
This is about your people.
I'm excited. It is it's a pretty big card. A lot of people that are friends of mine, a lot of people I fished with that are going to be coming on this to talk, and just so much knowledge about fishing in this province. So I'm really excited for this.
And it's long overdue, in my opinion. I mean, what we're trying to present here tonight, folks, is the who's who. It's the movers and the shakers, those that are taking the time and putting in the effort to make stuff happen, to promote fishing, and put it in a positive light, and hopefully inspire new people, right, to explore the sport and the activity. That's what Fish East is all about. And we're hard at it. Here we are with our podcast. We're filming shows, and we can't be happier. And we're honored to have the guests that we have on tonight. Would you guys agree with that statement?
I just hope nobody minds if you ask me a question, if I've got my head down, maybe writing notes, because I, as a New Brunswicker who's just kind of starting to dip his toes into Nova Scotia, I think there's a lot for me to learn tonight, and I'm looking forward to this. So.
Well, let's just go over real quick what our agenda is this evening. So first on the show, we're bringing on two very important people that have a really cool project going on. It's called Flow. We're going to let them tell you all about it. Her name is Deirdre Green. His name is Tim Myers, and they're a duo that's making that project happen. And then from the Department of Fisheries, Sabrina Wolthers and Andrew Lowles here to talk about this new initiative called Fish Nova Scotia. You might have seen the Facebook page and a couple of the Instagram posts they've been doing. They're here to tell us what that's all about. And we're going to finish the evening, guys. We're bringing in all our contributors from across Nova Scotia, and they're going to share with us their favorite fishing opportunity in the province. Where, how, why, you name it. So, Donnie, you said it best. You better have a pen and pad ready because we're going to blast your brains with some cool information. All right, how about we bring on our first guest? What do you guys say?
Let's get
do
moving.
All right, so first, I'd like to bring on Mr. Tim Myers. How are you doing, Tim?
Good. How are you guys?
And might I say, and I'd like to take a moment to announce, Tim is our latest and greatest contributor to join the Fish East Media Collective team. Thank you for joining, and we're looking forward to seeing your exploits and everything that you're going to bring to the table. So
I'm
welcome.
happy to be a part. Yeah, awesome. I'm looking forward to it, Ben.
And I'm going to bring in your partner here, Miss Deirdre Green. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Ben. Thanks for having me.
I'll tell you what. Let's see. How should we arrange this? Let's go like this. There's so many different options. It's kind of cool that we can play with this. So, the flow, F-L-O-W. I first personally caught wind of this on the internet, like everybody else. I saw it on Facebook. I saw some imagery leading up to what it may be. Wasn't sure what it was about. At that time, I did not meet Tim formally yet, nor have I gotten to know you yet, Deirdre. So for me, it was an interesting project that got my attention. And the reason it got my attention was for two reasons. Number one, the content. What it's about fishing. It's about fishing in a neighborhood that I now call home, called the Maritimes, and specifically Nova Scotia. And number two, had to do with fly fishing. And fly fishing, for those who have been following our show a little bit, is a completely new thing for me. I am a noob, capital N, noob, when it comes to fly fishing. I casted my first fly 5 months ago. Buddy Marlon Prince, who happens to be my neighbor, took me out and showed me how to. I've been addicted to it ever since. So, needless to say, I'm very honored to have you experienced fly anglers here to join us and to talk to us about this flow project of yours. So maybe I can start with you, Tim. Why don't you give the folks at home a quick summary or a synopsis of what flow actually is?
That's been hard to nail down over a while. I mean, it's been a bit of a moving target, and it's had to evolve a bit as this season has kind of evolved with low water and COVID. But the basis of the show was to really tell some stories that don't usually get told. More profile pieces, more, the people you hear about on the river that you never meet, that somebody else is telling you a story about. We wanted to tell those stories and tell stories of, the history of different areas and the tradition of Atlantic salmon angling and shrimp fishing, which runs deep in the Maritimes. And that was kind of the main vein of the show that is our jumping off point.
And so I'm going to ask you, so this is a concept that who came up with the concept?
Both Deirdre and I developed it.
Okay.
Yep.
And so I'm going to bring Deirdre up here now. So Deirdre, obviously I can tell from your Instagram feed and your Facebook. I mean, if you're not following Deirdre on wandering, I can't even, what is exactly the feed? I follow it. The wandering, Wanderess.
Yes.
Please follow her. She's got one of the best Instagram feeds there is in the Maritimes when it comes to fishing. That's how I discovered you. And I'm curious to know what inspired you to get with Tim to do something like this.
Well, I first started fly fishing 5 years ago. And in the Maritimes, as a female, you're definitely one of the more, I guess, you don't see a lot of females out, or at least 5 years ago you didn't. And so that demographic wasn't overly well represented in the fly fishing community. And I do find that having been out and having had the opportunity to meet so many lovely anglers that were willing to take time out of their, time on the water, and that's precious, but to teach someone else and to share with them, it really propelled my abilities and helped me learn a lot faster and have more success quickly. And so because of that, I had the opportunity to meet Tim and Serge Collin at a lodge in New Brunswick. And so we were doing some filming there, and that lodge on the doorstep kind of thing, and having a drink at night at the end of fishing and reflecting on the day, we started speaking about these great stories that people share and the lessons and the teaching that they do, and how they're just genuine mentors and they're passionate, and how that really draws you further into this sport. And so when that happened, we started talking about how can we share that with people today and what medium would be the best to do that.
Oh, so you're talking about medium, and I got to say, I have to agree, lots of great stories happen on the porch after a good fishing day at a lodge anywhere. I don't care, especially if there's drinks involved. right? So here you are. You have this great idea. You're inspired. Tim, we got to talk a little bit about your background here. Obviously, we're talking about which medium to go through, what tools do you have. Why don't you tell the folks a little bit, just real quick, like how do you go from having this idea, right, just talking about this idea, to making it happen, and what experience do you have that helped you propel that forward?
Well, I mean, I've been kind of bouncing around the business for quite a while in a lot of different roles, and the business has changed since I got in it a long time ago, and I've had to change with it. Everything that happens kind of makes me even more of a one-man band, especially to operate out of the Maritime provinces and kind of do what I do by myself. So approaching Flow, it was a no-brainer. Once we had this conversation on the porch in New Brunswick, it really was a no-brainer of, okay, we've got to do this. And I've wanted for a long time to have an opportunity to shine more light on my home province and the Maritimes. So I jumped at the chance.
Oh man, for those of you who don't know, Tim is a world-class photographer, videographer. So here,
Appreciate it, Ben.
Look at you. Here's Tim hiding his face behind the camera. But more importantly, I mean, look at some of these shots.
Those aren't all mine.
How's that one? Is that one yours?
No, I wish it was.
That's a great shot, though. In the sun, like whoever took that shot totally nailed that shot.
It's hard to beat an iPhone for sure.
Okay, so let me tell you something. Some days I really don't like Matt Cito because Matt Cito has these ridiculous Facebook profile shots of him catching pickerel and giant stripers. I'm like, who is this guy taking pictures of Matt Cito and make him look? Because he doesn't look that good in person.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm very fortunate to have met Tim.
I love you, Matt. I'm just kidding. I'm just trying to illustrate the fact that Tim's got some great eyeballs and all that. So what better to have an enthusiastic, personality in front of the lens and somebody with the skill set that you have behind the lens to kind of match together and bring what Flow is. So I'm just going to take a quick second here and play just a real short video, just to give the folks at home a quick idea of what that's all about. All right. So here we go. Man, there was a lot said in those 8 seconds. Deirdre, what is the plan? Is it? I know that there's one episode out right now. What is the plan overall as far as the structure, what to expect from this project?
Well, we have a lot of rivers that are near and dear to our heart, like Tim said, and that have a lot of characters and stories to be told. There are people that have pursued the fish within these river systems, and they've looked to protect them for many years before any of us. And so it's really interesting to pick their brains and listen to their experiences and to showcase them, because they're not on Instagram or Facebook with us. These are the quiet, lesser known people, but they've made massive impacts to the fisheries that we enjoy today. And so it's really important to highlight those in our opinions. So we have a trip coming up to New Brunswick to Country Haven Lodge to talk about some of the history of Atlantic salmon angling there. We have some striped bass content coming out and talking about
bass. Interesting.
Yes. And so there's just some unique fisheries that we have, as you know, in the Maritime provinces that we want to showcase, but the people too, and the stories as to why they've become obsessed with these fisheries are really interesting. And they're not something you get to hear if you're not on the river with them.
So if I'm hearing what you're saying, is your goal with Tim is to tell the stories that aren't being told.
Correct. And
showcase maybe a little bit of that heritage that comes along with the river systems and the fisheries that currently exist. What is the long-term vision for? I'm going to ask this to Tim. Can we expect to see from Flow over the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years?
Well, I mean, it's been a bit of an odd season for us. We expected to come out of the gate and just keep kind of rolling with episodes, but COVID and low water put a pretty quick halt to that. So basically after October, there'll be pretty much an episode a month dropping until just after the new year. And that'll be our wrap up to season 1. And hopefully head into season 2 with the same gusto and maybe an international destination in there as well.
Very, very nice. Don, do you have something you want to ask her, Matt?
You mentioned, Deirdre already answered one of my questions, which she said they have trips planned coming to New Brunswick. I've got to ask, because you mentioned a name that you and Tim and Serge Collins were sitting on a deck in front of a lodge. Part of what got Fish East off the ground and got us going was a relationship we established working with Serge as well. So I don't know if it's so much a question as it is to just kind of point out a common ground that, you know, when people with a common passion can find their focus, and you know, there's always the right person there to give them that push. And, you know, so I think this goes to anyone in the angling community. You know, don't be shy. When you're passionate about something, go after it. And I want to commend you guys, Deirdre and Tim, and, you know, all the other silent folks behind the scenes, because, you know, they're always there. You know, I would just want to commend you guys for what you're doing, and, you know, wish you both the best of luck, and look forward to seeing what you're bringing out in the future.
Thanks, Donald.
So one last question for you, Deirdre. You touched on, you know, being a female fly fisher angler. Let's just say angler. What message do you have for young aspiring female anglers that you want to pass on?
I would say, similar to what Don just said, like, reach out to anyone that you think might be able to help you or give a tip. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because the lion's share of anglers that I've met on the river or through social media, they're so eager to share their passion. They want to tell you anything and everything they can so that you succeed. So really, you know, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid. Don't let nerves get the better of you. I've always shared that story where I first went to the Marguerite, and it's Atlantic salmon angling, and it's, you know, it's an old boys club at one point there. And I was crossing the river, and my fiance was behind with the dogs, and I had sunglasses on. I had tears in my eyes because I was so nervous about not casting to the same level as these experienced anglers. And no one cares about that. They're so excited to see youth and females and anyone new enter the sport, and they can pass on what they've spent years learning. So just remember that and reach out and ask me anything if you're a female out there in the Maritimes and you want to get into it. I love hooking up with new people and, you know, finding a common ground on what was really challenging for me to learn in the beginning, but then how someone said something and then it just all clicked. All the pieces fell together.
Man, awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
What happened to Tim? Oh, there he is. Tim, you changed position on the screen and I lost you for a second. Where can people, you know, subscribe, watch, see, follow? Where do people need to go?
The best places to do it, I mean, you can definitely follow both Deirdre and I on Facebook and Instagram. She's the Waiting Wanderess, and I'm Tim D. Myers on Instagram. And all of our content is available through there and on Facebook and on YouTube.
Amazing.
And the Flow Collective as well, both on Instagram and Facebook is the.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do is we're definitely going to share your YouTube videos on our Fish East platform just to give you another avenue for people to discover you guys.
Awesome.
And absolutely, every time you have something new, put it up there. And, man, keep on doing what you're doing, because let's be honest, there's not a whole lot of movers and shakers, you know, putting it out there. And you know, we got to keep on doing it. So.
I got one last question for Tim, being a technical, more of a technical question, because I know I can't answer it, and Ben, I don't think you can either. One of our viewers would like to know about underwater cameras. Tim, I don't know if that's your area of expertise or not, or if you know anything about it. He's looking to follow burbot under the ice, you know, and has had poor luck with AquaView. So just quickly, is that a question you can answer?
That is a tough one. It's definitely not my specialty. You know, I've done underwater stuff, but I would definitely never classify myself as an underwater photographer compared to the caliber other guys out there doing it, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I figured it was safer to ask,
especially under the ice, right?
Yeah. I figured there was a better chance of an answer from you than there was from one of us, so I just figured I'd lob that one out there. So,
all right. Well, I'd like to take an opportunity and thank both Deirdre and Tim for joining us on this week. Again, best of luck. Keep on keeping on, and we look forward to the next few episodes. And maybe we can get you back to give us an update, maybe mid-season through Flow.
Would love to.
Right.
Thanks, man.
Guys.
Thanks,
Take
Ben.
care.
See you guys.
Thank you.
All right. So pretty cool, guys. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like. You know what I like the most? I like seeing people taking something as an idea and finding a way to make it happen. You know, a lot of people can talk the talk, you know, without being negative about it, but it's one thing to say you're going to do it, but to actually follow through and make it happen, that gets my respect. I don't know about you guys, but hats off to those guys for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So up next on our agenda, new initiative that popped up. Well, I don't even want to say when. I know it was recent. I'm going to let these folks tell us the whole thing and the 411 on this whole initiative. It's called Fish Nova Scotia. And from what I gather, it's pretty cool because it seems as though we're talking about fisheries taking action and promoting the resource. And from what I've seen, some workshops, you know, to get guides better educated, better trained. I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what I've seen so far, Matt. And I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce our next guest.
Yeah, certainly. Really excited to have these two on. I know them both. I've had many conversations recently, and so I'd like to bring on Sabrina and Andrew from the Fish Nova Scotia initiative. Thanks, guys, for coming on tonight.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for having us, Matt.
Yeah. So we'll get right to it because we got a lot of people waiting, and I want to make sure that we cover everything because Fish Nova Scotia is just, I think it's a great initiative to promote sport fishing. It's something that I've often thought about for years now, just like that you know, Nova Scotia sometimes get overlooked in the sport fishing world. So I'm really happy. I was really happy to hear that this was being created and this was being done. So why don't you guys tell me tell everybody what exactly is the objective of Fish Nova Scotia?
Sure, I can take that one. So a couple of years ago, the department realized that it had been several years since there was like a concentrated effort to promote sport fishing in Nova Scotia. So they did a cross-province tour, talking to associations, talking to guides, talking to anglers, seeing what's out there, what's missing, what could help. And from there, we worked with a branding company to create the Fish Nova Scotia brand. It's got like a common look and feel. It's like a friendly, just like I felt when I was listening to Deirdre and Tim talk, I'm like, this is what we want. Like this is the look and the feel and that camaraderie on the water. That's what makes Nova Scotia so special. So after we did the tour and we talked to everybody to see what was missing, we've since then, after the brand was created, we've recently launched on Facebook and on Instagram. So you can find us if you search Fish Nova Scotia. We're also pretty close to launching our website, which will be an interactive tool for people coming to Nova Scotia, looking for different angling experiences one end to the other. And it'll also have different, not just, we call them non-fishing lures, so different festivals and different attractions that you can find on there, as well as accommodations that consider themselves to be fishing friendly. And the last thing that we, as part of Fish Nova Scotia, is the professionalization training program for the guides that Ben alluded to a few minutes ago. So far we've had 3 of those sessions across the province. So that was the one that we had last winter. It was in Shubenacadie. So that picture there is after we did a ice fishing component. And it was more, the ice fishing component and the shore lunch was a great opportunity for networking. That one there was the first one that we did. It was in last fall, as you can see the leaves, and it was down in Milford House. And then the last one that we had just happened last summer. And so now in total, we have 35 guides who are part of this professionalization stream.
Excellent. Yeah, and I think that's important, you know, to have these professionalization workshops for guides. You know, just to not only to promote like their own businesses, but to just to let people know that, like, we're legit here. We know how to fish. We know how to guide, and and the more prepared you can be, I think that just adds more to it. So
Absolutely.
Sorry, Matt, if I could just interject here real quick. I have to really give a high five to Fish Nova Scotia for what I just saw on the screen there. I was a professional guide fishing in Quebec for like 15 years. Not once did any organization or group ever offer me any workshop with regards to, preparing fish, maybe safety on the water, or how to market myself. All that was done on my own. You know what I mean? So the fact that you guys have done that, I have to, high five, because that's awesome. So
that was a lot of work too with the Nova Scotia Guides Association. They did a lot of the work, so we actually have this branded material ready to go for the guys who've completed it. This is a cooler. There's also a hat. We have some...
Wait, hold on. Go back to the hat. Was that a flat lid?
Yes.
Matt and I only wear flat lids. I'm just saying.
Oh, do you?
I can't wait. I'm waiting for mine. When's mine coming?
Soon. I'm going to hand deliver this. Right. We have a dry bag. There's all kinds of goodies. We have a new buff.
Wow.
Sticker.
Don't forget the mug. Don't forget the mug.
Check out these cool badges.
Fish Nova Scotia is hard on swag, yo. Hard on swag.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I think
Andrew, the Fish East swag.
Hey,
Yeah.
I think Andrew might be having a drink in his cup right now, I think.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Matt. I just really want to say that because I felt that was such a strong point. Just seeing that is great for the guides and all that stuff.
So
you're
absolutely right. I just want to go over a little bit of what we do as well during the weekend. So we've kept the same agenda for the last 3 sessions. We're open to changing a little bit moving forward or sticking to, we're open, it's new, but we do things like a website and social media. We do a food handling certificate for guides that have shore lunches. And we also do cultural sensitivity training, diversity and inclusion, and we do guiding etiquette. So those are the kinds of things that we talk about at the workshop.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it should reiterate that the workshop is once you're already a licensed guide. So you've taken the course, and that value added is actually given to you at no charge. So guides that have taken the first course are invited to the workshop with no additional charge. So, not to fool ourselves, it doesn't teach us how to fish. It teaches us how to be a guide and how to be a good guide. How to market yourself, how to promote yourself, but also add value when you're on the water with clients. As a guide myself for 15 years, that value added is really what makes the trip. It's not just the fish. You don't always catch the fish, but you can always provide a good time. So.
You can guarantee the service and the experience, but you can't guarantee the catch. Yep. 100%.
You can never guarantee the catch. So, Yep.
Well said.
Excellent. Yeah, so that's great, and I've had the opportunity to be a part of one of those workshops, and they're fantastic. They really are. So we'll keep moving along. One thing I wanted to ask you guys: there's a lot of negative reaction to non-native species, so invasive species. We have chain pickerel, bass, yellow perch, but in promoting Nova Scotia's fishery, these angling opportunities are there, and there may be people that are interested in targeting these non-native species. So, how do you plan on overcoming some of those negative reactions, to kind of maybe promote these fisheries? Because there's a lot of guides that guide for smallmouth bass and chain pickerel. So how are you going to overcome kind of those negative
I think
reactions?
The big thing for us is that we're trying to promote the fishery as a whole. So we don't just promote individual species. We promote people coming to Nova Scotia. Our goal with this program is to actually make Nova Scotia a destination, and realizing that each part of the province has a unique fishery. There's some overlap. I mean, there's great striped bass on the Northumberland Strait, great in the Bay, great on the Eastern Shore. So there's great fisheries all over, and the goal, I think, is to promote what's locally available, and to highlight the guides that can offer that, rather than just us as Fish Nova Scotia. we provide a platform for guides to actually promote what they have specifically. So, I mean, if you're in an area that you have a great smallmouth bass fishery and you can provide that, then I think our job is more to provide the platform than to be the moderator. We want people to see Nova Scotia as a destination. We want people to, when they're coming here, to think fishing is something that they want to do. And I don't think it needs to be as species specific as that. I think that we have the opportunity, and we have some unique fisheries here that are worth promoting as a sole hardcore fishing destination. But we also have a lot of opportunities for people just to take side trips. And, I'm staying for the week, or we've rented a cottage down on the South Shore. Right. And what are we going to do on, the first nice sunny day? Well, we want to go fishing. What's available? And I think that is the important message there, is that we promote fishing as a whole. Getting people out is the objective of the program.
What better timing than in this COVID climate than to rediscover, your own region? If you're from Nova Scotia, and you're listening to what I'm hearing here with you, these guys are putting together a platform, like they just said, so that regular people can go and discover maybe opportunities in different regions of Nova Scotia that you might not have thought about before. From our end, from a Fish East perspective, we just, like I mentioned earlier on the show, we just did a great show out in Yarmouth. And we showcased what there is in the region to fish. We got on some ridiculously good chain pickerel, some smallmouth bass, and it was awesome. We had the local guide associate help us out. Peter Lavender came out with us as well. And Matt put on a freaking Sabrina fish taco clinic. Sabrina was there. We got that cat on camera, by the way, Sabrina. Thank you. And then we're going polar opposite other end, and we're going to go showcase some Brador Lake stuff. And I think the message is the same. And I think you nailed it on the head, Andrew. This is about having a platform and promoting what you have as a resource in your region, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So Ben just mentioned, what a perfect time with COVID. But did you find there was kind of an impact? Did it kind of put a halt to the whole initiative in any way? Like, there's a lot of people that can't travel. Did you face any problems with that?
I would call it a halt. I would call it a really sharp turn. Because 2 years ago, when we started building this initiative, the strategy was really to attract international travelers to Nova Scotia and showcase our province as a unique destination to come fish, world-class opportunities. So obviously with the travel restrictions and the borders being closed, we had to really quickly pivot and focus on something else. So instead we're trying to, like you said, rediscover your own backyard, like the Tourism Nova Scotia slogan. And we're trying to get more people part of the Fish Nova Scotia initiative, and then get more contributors, get people excited about it. And then hopefully by the time the borders are open again, we'll have enough traction online and our website will be well populated, and that will be well equipped to be able to welcome people coming to Nova Scotia.
Yeah. So how could, say, local anglers get involved in this? How could they help to promote Nova Scotia, as a fishing destination, or, if you're here as a place to maybe pick up a guide for the day? What is something that the local businesses and anglers could do?
Well, there's definitely a lot of opportunity with social media. We're open to sharing different local. We actually highlighted Deirdre on our social media a couple of weeks ago. We had some good pictures and a little quote from her. We like to highlight local anglers and multi-species anglers. We're looking for businesses. Anybody who wants to contribute some pictures or videos, they're always welcome to tag us, or you can also DM us. And our website will also have a content for blogs. So if somebody's interested in contributing some blogs, I'd love to talk to anybody who's interested in helping out.
Very cool.
Cool. Yeah. So like
Matt, before we go on,
sure.
Can I just say one thing? One thing about COVID, you wouldn't think that it would have a positive aspect, but we've sold a few thousand more licenses this year than we did last year already. And people are discovering what's in their own backyard. What Ben said earlier about, rediscovering what you've got. I mean, before even having that first month of the season reduced, we've still got, like, we're up 5,000 licenses or something like that, or 4,000 licenses. That represents a significant increase in people hitting the water. And I can say from experience, I'm seeing more people out in the saltwater fishing for striped bass. People had the time, they're rediscovering fishing. Guys that maybe were away from it, and girls that were away from it since high school or whatnot. Now they're going, oh, well, I'm off work, I'll give it a shot. Hopefully they stay hooked with it. This is, I mean, I'm not going to say it's been a good thing, but there, you got to take the silver lining where there is one. So hopefully that continues.
Yeah, I want to jump in here for a second, Matt. We always try to get our viewers' questions out there, and you're talking about people discovering what's in their own backyard. We've got a question from a gentleman by the name of Kevin Gillis. He said, in discussion of the non-native species, I think is where he's coming from. He said, I'm glad you brought this topic up. This year is the first time that Natural Resources closes Blackett's and Lake Ainsley on September 30th. Normally these lakes close at the end of October. Both of these lakes have a good smallmouth population. Are you aware why this happened? Why are those lakes closing earlier than in previous years? Is that a question that you can answer?
Sabrina, do you want to take this, or should I?
I think you go ahead.
No, yes, I can handle that one. Blackett's and Lake Ainsley, along with 8 other lakes, in consultation with the smallmouth bass anglers, CASA, the tournament anglers, what we're trying to do is take away the incentive for people to move fish. So one of the things that we found is that by extending the season into October, so a little bit of background, traditionally that area would close on September 30th. And it closes September 30th because that's the end of the trout season. Historically, there were no smallmouth bass up there. Now, smallmouth bass were introduced into those 2 lakes in the early 2000s. And 2005, I think, was Blackett's for both chain pickerel and smallmouth bass. Now, because the provincial season for smallmouth bass was till October 31st, one of the feelings was that those fish were put there in order to extend their season and to try to take away or cause a disincentive for people to move fish. We've created a boundary. It's basically the 102 highway, and it runs from Halifax up to Truro, and then it runs down south, and you can see the exact boundaries from that 102 to 117 split or whatever it is. You can see those in the book, but everything to the north of that, we said, okay, we're going to close that on September 30th. And there are a number of extended trout seasons that have always been there for extended opportunities for brown and rainbows where they're stocked. But it was to take away that incentive of moving fish into an area that is primarily bass and pickerel free. So that was the thought. It was fully supported by the tournament angling community there. We annually meet with those clubs that host tournaments. They were all in full support. It was brought up all across the province in our regional fish advisory council meetings. There was absolutely no objection to doing so during that time. That's the opportunity that people have to come and have their voice heard. It was in the book for a year. We did not get a single negative comment. So we proceeded with it and stand firm that it was a good decision to help disincentive that moving of fish. But
yeah, that makes total sense. And
hopefully that answers Kevin's question.
Yeah.
And I mean, if the viewers want to talk in detail offline, they're welcome to call us direct at the office. I mean, social media isn't the only platform. Our being one of the biologists, my line is always open. I'm always available to talk to the public. So
awesome.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So thanks, guys. Super informative. If you guys don't follow Fish Nova Scotia on Instagram, give them a follow. And if you want to be a part of promoting Nova Scotia as a fishery. If you're one of the anglers out there, tag them, DM them, send them pictures, do what you can to help promote our great fishery here. I'm going to leave one more question with you. And that is basically, if you guys could tell everybody out there, the world, what makes Nova Scotia so special in regards to fishing, what would it be?
Sabrina, you first.
I think with Nova Scotia fisheries, it's such a compact yet diverse province that even if you can spend your morning on the river catching some big stripers and then experience vivid nightlife in the evening in Halifax, like you can get pretty much anywhere in the province within the day. The history, the culture, the passion, the traditions, I think Nova Scotia has so much to offer for anybody who's coming to Nova Scotia.
What about you, Andrew?
I'm going to give two, and I'm going to do them real quick. One, step outside right now, look at the colors. Just being outside, to me, doesn't matter what I'm catching, what I'm fishing right now. September, October are just beautiful months to be outside. And two, we have some of the best craft beer industry anywhere, and there's so much within a short drive from any lake or river that.
I guess we know what's in the Fish Nova Scotia Cup. and just so you folks know, and Donnie's done a great job doing this. We're coming up with our first video soon. We are actually traveling everywhere filming, and we are doing spotlights on local craft breweries. So check that out, Andrew. You might discover one that you might not know yet, or you maybe already know them, but we're going to do our best to showcase them. Hey, on behalf of all the fishies, thank you, Sabrina and Andrew, for joining us this evening. I think it's needless to say it is an initiative which deserves some commendation because we do our best as anglers to get the message out and to promote what we feel so passionate about. But to have an entity such as yourselves kind of lay down a platform behind that, and so you heard what Matt said. If you're an angler and you want to promote, contact them. They seem very accessible. Facebook, Instagram, get a hold of them and get involved. Get off your butt. Yeah. Do something about it. Promote. With that, thank you very much, guys. We'll talk to you soon enough. Sabrina and Andrew Lowles from Fish Nova Scotia. All right. That's been pretty cool stuff, eh? So we had the Flow project, which is like new, awesome. Talking about the stories from fly fishing all across Nova Scotia. Then we got these good folks at Fish Nova Scotia doing what they do. Donald, that was an awesome question, by the way, and I think Andrew answered that like, man, did he ever answer that? He really answered that question.
And I did see that Kevin came back saying thank you for the reply. And I mean that's part of what we're trying to do here is to get information. I was going to say into your hands, but into your brains, I guess. I mean. We'll do our best. There was another question from Robert asking about can New Brunswick guides attend the Nova Scotia clinics? And, that's a question we didn't get a chance to ask, but I just replied to him on Facebook and said that I would ask that question to Sabrina or Andrew off the air and see, get that answer for him. I mean, that's what we want to be here for is we want people to learn. We want people to know.
Absolutely. 100%.
And now we've got a lot for them to know.
And here's the thing, we're going to talk about fishies real quick here. We are bringing this podcast through every 2 weeks and trying to cover all the topics you guys want to hear about. We like the feedback, so feel free to email us, message us on Facebook. If there's something you want us to cover, we're always looking for ideas. I mean, we have some pretty crazy ideas, but we're always open to hear your ideas, whether it's video tips or you want to hear read an article rather, or maybe a future, podcast idea. Just so you know, we're a pretty tight-knit crew, and you're about to meet our Nova Scotia portion of that crew. We are behind the scenes chatting all the time. It's super fun. We share fishing news, updates, and all that type of stuff. I really think it's something really special. We call it our own Fishies Collective. And tonight we've got a whole bunch of them on to share with us. And here's what we did. First off, we said, okay, let's identify all our Nova Scotia anglers. And then we said, here's your mission. We're going to give you 10 minutes for you to choose your favorite fishing opportunity within the province of Nova Scotia, and every single one of them. I wish I could say we orchestrated this. We did not, because there's such a diverse group of anglers. They all came up with a different scenario. So I'm pretty excited to hear about this, guys. You guys ready to do this? Let's see.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Let's roll.
By the way, Matt, just so you know, I didn't ask you about this because I was going to ask you on the fly. So we're going to, at the end, you're going to share with us your favorite fishing opportunity.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, very best. All right. So
No, can I put a caveat in there, Ben?
let's hear it. What is it?
I want his favorite fishing opportunity that's not stripers or chain pickerel on Kinsack.
All right. We'll see you guys later. No. No. That's actually not what I was going to say. So
Okay.
I'll wait till the end, and I'll let you know. I'll leave it as a cliffhanger.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to introduce everybody first, and we'll get everybody so that everybody can meet them. You know, if you haven't seen them yet, check out some of the articles and posts that we have on fisheast.com. But for example, we've got Mr. Nate Dusome. What's going on, Nate? Welcome. Can Nate hear us? Nathan?
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
There you go. Awesome. We've got Mr. Matt Balcombe joining us
Just a
tonight.
bit of a delay.
No worries. What's
Hey,
going
how
on,
you doing,
Matt?
guys? Not too
Awesome.
bad.
All the way from the Cape, got Mr. Eddie Hillman.
Hey, how's it going?
Very, very good. We also have Miss Jessica Stevens.
Hey guys.
Oh, yeah, the screen's going to get real full real quick because we also got John McLeod,
How's it going?
our resident bass angler, and Mr. Multi-Species himself, Mr. Ryan Anderson.
Hi, everybody.
What's going on? So this is the group that's going to be sharing their ideas on what the best fishing opportunities are in Nova Scotia. We'd like to hear what you think, if you agree or disagree with any of these guys. But we're going to put them off on the side here real quick, like so. Oh, look at that. I didn't even know we could do that many. That's freaking awesome. All right. This is cool. I'm going to pick on Mr. Matt Balcombe first.
Oh boy,
What's up?
it's fast.
You're the first one. You're one of our newest members, but we just published your article on
I saw that.
backwoods brook trout. So if you haven't checked that out, go to fisheast.com. Check out Matt's article on what he loves to do best. And I'm guessing that may or may not be a segue into my question to you. What is in your opinion, the best or your favorite opportunity for fishing in Nova Scotia?
Yeah, well, the timing worked out really great on that one with that article going up because it's exactly what I wanted to talk about today. I feel pretty fortunate that I get to talk about this one. It's Nova Scotia's provincial fish, as everybody may or may not know. And my favorite way to fish for brook trout is to fish them in a backcountry setting. So that's the fishery that I want to focus on. So yeah, there's a pretty typical scene from a top secret location. And that's a very, very typical spot that you might find me anytime from April into mid-June. So I guess first I'll just maybe touch on like why it's so special to me and like why I picked that as my favorite fishery. And basically it boils down to the places that you find these wild fish. So my favorite place to fish for brook trout is basically like wilderness in Nova Scotia. So I usually, there's me again. That's how I get there. I pack up the canoe and I'll set off for 3 or 4 days. And the special thing to me is that like in Nova Scotia, brook trout they're almost like an indicator species. So when you find a system that's got a healthy population of brookies and like ranging sizes, it's almost an indicator of like an intact, healthy ecosystem that's been free of development, free of pollution for the most part, and it's just a really special place. So that's why I picked it for my feature here.
I got some questions before you continue there. I mean, just saw a lot of. I love this canoe head pick. This is amazing. How far would you trek with that on your head?
I mean, most portages in Nova Scotia go from like I'd say the average is probably a 400 meter, but some are some of the longer ones are kilometer and a half.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So, but it's a great way to get away from angling pressure, which if you pop over to the Fish East website and check out my latest article, it's all about how to ditch angling pressure.
What does my question is what should someone pack with them? What do they need? Is this something complicated? Do I have to bring 6 rods? Like, what's the deal?
No, it's as much or as little as you like. Like that's the great thing about it. I mean, I don't use anything really fancy, but basically the name of the game is waterproof. So a waterproof bag to carry everything in, and then if you're doing overnighters, tent, sleeping bag, sleeping pad, something to cook with, and then your fishing gear, be it spinning rod or fly rod, and then whatever tackle you're going to bring. So you can scale it up or down as far as you need to, and then obviously your canoe and paddling gear and things like that.
So what exactly is the go-to presentation for this type of backwoods trout fishing?
Well, maybe I can get to that in a minute here. I've got a couple of bullets.
Absolutely.
Or do you want to jump into the tactics right away?
No, for it. I'm loving what I'm hearing.
So maybe I'll start off with what I look for to find good trout spots. That would be the first step. So I do a lot of online scouting, like Google Earth, that kind of thing. And I figured I'd just run folks through like what to look for and how to find these spots. So first thing I look for, I mean, the name of the game is avoiding angling pressure and finding the right mix of habitat that's going to support brook trout. So the first things I look for are wilderness areas, like capital W wilderness areas are great spots because there's no development in them. Other than that, like places with remote access, lack of road access that you've got to work a little bit to get into, those are all great spots to start. From there, I'm looking for three things to find trout within those systems. So I'm looking for food, cover, and oxygen. So what I try to find is a place that has all three of those things. And the caveat is finding it in a spot where a trout doesn't have to spend a lot of energy to get all three. So typically what I'm trying to find is somewhat larger watersheds with mixtures of chutes and pools that offer a range of different habitat for trout over different water levels, so that high water conditions, cold water, trout can hold up in those pools, and then same thing, low hot water in the summer, they can hold in those deep holes. But then when you get into those, your May and early June, when you have ideal water conditions in the rivers, those trout can move up and they have lots of cover and structure where they can sit in a spot that food is being delivered into them. So looking for those kinds of features is pretty much my tactic for getting on brook trout and finding brook trout locations.
I noticed in the picture that you had, just before you continue here, because I'm curious, I always want to know, is that the average size in Nova Scotia? Is that a good one? Like, I just want to give
that's a pretty good one. I can't remember how big that one is. That's maybe 13 or 14 inches, but that's a pretty good one.
That's a very good one. Okay, very cool. Continue. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so now to get back to your question there on gear, so I'll jump into that a little bit. So for me, on tackle, presentation, that kind of thing, it's all about temperature. And that's one thing I never, ever leave at home is my thermometer, because I'm always checking water temperature before we go out. So 10 to 20 degrees is pretty much my window for trout fishing. And that's like the best feeding conditions for brook trout. So it gives you an indicator. If you're reading water temperatures below 10 degrees, trout activity kind of slows down. So you know that you're going to need to be targeting them in areas. They're not going to be moving as much. They're not going to be in current. So you're going to find them in deep, slow-moving pools, and you're going to try probably slower presentations. They're not going to chase aggressively after lures as quickly. Once you get up into that 10 to 20 degree range, you get a little more flexibility. So, I mean, it depends kind of, the match the hatch is the old saying. If you see trout rising, trying to match whatever they're rising to. You can, if they're not rising, I think something that gets overlooked. I don't see a lot of people fishing this way in Nova Scotia. I'm sure they're out there, but it's not something you see talked about a lot. But is nymph fishing. I mean, if you could only give me one lure for the rest of my life, it'd probably be a size 12 beadhead pheasant tail, because it seems to be primarily that's what trout are feeding on. It seems, and then beyond that, I mean, you can't beat the old spinner and worm hatch. That's pretty good too.
Yeah, the old spinner and the worm. Donnie loves the spinner and worm. It's his go-to for everything, isn't it, Donnie?
It's a highly effective technique. I can't knock it.
I just want to know what it mimics. I haven't figured that out yet.
If you figure that out, you'd be a rich man.
I'll tell you one thing. Do you know what I love about? So, as you know, I'm near to the Maritimes. Do you know what I love about the spinner?
What's that?
Is that no matter what gas station I stop in anywhere in the Maritimes, there is a decent selection of spinners ready to be bought. Right? Everybody's
Always.
smiling. Yeah, 100%.
And
Hey,
the smaller the town, the bigger the selection.
you got it. Absolutely, 100%. Hey, Matt,
the smaller the town.
thanks so much for sharing that with us, Matt. So brook trout. Check out Matt's article, backwater or backwoods brook trout on our website, fisheast.com.
Yeah.
Mr. Ryan Anderson. Hold on, I got to get you off mute here. Why did I mute you? There you go. There we go.
Okay,
we good. Ryan, you always bring some interesting angles to the show. I'm interested to know what your favorite opportunity for fishing in Nova Scotia is to share.
Okay. I think I can legitimately say that they're all my favorite. I mean, I just enjoy being out there. But quick story for you is, I guess, I grew up in Ontario. I moved here 20 years ago. And the first species that I really had an opportunity to catch here that I didn't have in Ontario, and that actually excited me about fishing here, was shad. Shad are super accessible. So I didn't have a boat when I moved here. And I mean, obviously, a very large portion of the population doesn't have a boat. So when you get a fishing opportunity that you can hit in very easily accessible areas and catch, 3 to 5 pound fish on a regular basis with very easy methods and simple tackle, you can't beat it. And I mean, they call them the poor man's salmon. They put up a fight. There's really nothing more fun than light tackle, light gear, and having a 3 to 5 pound fish on the end of the line. It's fantastic.
Man, I can't agree with you more. I've been fishing shad for a long time, and we had a little fishies outing earlier in the spring near Donnie's house up by Sussex in New Brunswick, and we just slayed them. I mean, I'm showing pictures of the fish you've caught here, and they're all that size.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
That's just typical, right? Yep.
Totally typical. And what I want people to know about what you're saying is the accessibility, check.
Yes.
Simplicity of tackle, check.
One lure.
One lure is all you need.
That's all you need.
One rod, one lure, right?
Yes. And
is it an amazing opportunity to introduce people into fishing, such as kids? Oh man,
absolutely.
Like it's just so. What is it? Whereabouts are you fishing these shad in Nova Scotia?
2 main spots that I hit would be the Stewiacke River, which is the one closest to me, and then the Shuby River at the 9 Mile. And both of these are super common spots. Everybody who knows about shad knows about these 2 spots. The third spot that's really popular would be out in the valley, in the Annapolis River at Middleton. That's a spot I haven't fished yet. I've heard amazing things about it, but all 3 are basically just medium-sized rivers. It's super easy to access. They can get busy at times, which is the one downfall of shad fishing. But that size of fish and easy to catch in all 3 locations.
Now, I think what the folks also need to know is that this is not a fishery that's accessible all year long.
No, and actually that would be one of the reasons that it's my favorite. I mean, I fish all year long. There's, I can catch trout all year long. I go ice fishing for trout, ice fishing for pickerel, and we're going to be ice fishing for bass this year as well. So those are things I can do all year long. Shad are only in the rivers towards the end of April. They show up and they'll stick around for a month and a half, maybe 2 months at most, and that's it. You get your 2-month opportunity to go fishing for shad. So as that season approaches, you get excited about going shad fishing. Maybe by the end of 2 months, you're starting to get a little bit, had enough of them, and you move off to other species. But for that couple of months, it's so nice and so easy to just go down for an hour or 2 after work and go catch a few fish. Doesn't take a whole lot of effort, and it's good fun.
I like to compare notes here in Nova Scotia. What's the setup? What's the rod? What's the line? What's the lure?
Yep. For me, your rod, medium light action. I stick to probably 10-pound test fluoro. Maybe down to 6-pound test.
Did you say 10-pound test?
That's heavy. That's
Wow.
on. That is
That's
heavy
real
line.
heavy.
Do you know what Donnie?
you're
Do you know what
doing.
Donnie used? Donnie, tell him what line you use for shad.
We were using a combination, couple different rods, either 2 pound or 4 pound.
Yeah.
Nothing heavier than 4.
The issue when you go that low is you're going to lose shad darts like crazy, right? When you're using fluoro, now that shad are line shy, so you don't want to use braid, you don't want to use mono if you can avoid it. I personally I'm either using 6 or 10. I've mostly used 10 this year just because that was on the reel that I started to use and it worked fine for me. Being fluoro, because it's invisible in the water, I don't find that you have any issues with missing fish when you're using 10-pound fluoro, and you can get a lot of your shad darts back and not leave them on the bottom of the river.
Yeah, you do lose a lot of shad darts.
Yeah, but again,
I've gone out.
You know, you use with your medium light action rod. Like I said, 6, 8, 10-pound test is fine. But you mentioned lure. The only lure that you're going to use out here really is a shad dart. And for those that don't know what a shad dart is, it's a very basic lead head jig.
Keep talking. I'm gonna find an image of one so people can see this.
So it's a lead head jig with a very small tail tied onto it. Typically, when you buy them, they will be in a 2-color pattern, and you will have a huge range of colors available to you. Now, everybody who goes shad fishing, or at least the majority of the population who goes shad fishing, seem to think that color is the trigger for everything. I personally would like to suggest that color is not the thing that you need to focus on most. You need to focus on the weight of your shad dart. That is your typical shad dart. Most of the ones here would also have a small tail tied on the back, but that's your 2-color pattern. And like I said, wide range of colors, usually bright reds, pinks, chartreuse. You can get some with black, stuff like that. Like I said, I personally don't think color is an issue because I paint up my own shad darts, and my favorite shad dart this year was actually in a camo pattern with a brown camo. And I did that simply because I could, right? It's fun to play around a little bit sometimes. But the big thing with shad is the weight of your shad dart. You need to make sure that you use a weight that corresponds to the water levels that you've got. You want to get your shad dart down. You don't want it to sit up too high in the water. You also don't want it to be stuck to the bottom. So you need to pick the right weight of shad dart for the current that you're in so that it will get a good action as it goes through that sort of middle towards the bottom of the water column.
Okay. Just to share with you there, Ryan, I tried something different because, of course, I've been using shad darts my entire life. I went with a 3-weight fly rod.
Yep.
And we had our good buddy, Scott, tie these micro shad darts, I guess, with barely any head to it, with a little bit of tinsel. And man, I'll tell you what fun I had waiting with a number 3 fly rod on these guys. Good stuff.
I just bought a 3-weight fly rod. That is my plan for next year. I will also add is, if you're in the right place at the right time with the right gear, you are going to catch shad hand over fist. You will catch all of them. And it is very typical to go to the river. If there are 10 people on the river, there will be one guy who catches all of the shad. So if
is that you? You're that guy.
I am not that guy. I have spent so much time on the river watching these guys. If you're ever out there fishing and these guys are catching all of the fish, go talk to them. Find out what size shad dart they're using. Find out where they bought them. Don't worry too much about color, but if color matters to you, ask them what color it is. That is the most common thing you will ever hear on the river when you're shad fishing is what color are you using. But I mean, there's typically lots of people around in these spots where the shad are. Ask questions. Definitely watch what people are doing. Watch the way that they're reeling in their shad dart, whether they're, fast, slow reel, all that kind of stuff. Watch what they're doing and try to copy it. And eventually you'll get into some shad.
Awesome, man. Thanks for bringing shad to the table. Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Ryan. I love where we're going with this. So we've gone through some backwoods brook trout. Mr. Multi-Species has brought up the shad bite. I want to talk about, I know what this guy's going to talk about next because I just do, because he is a bass head like I am. His name is John McLeod. Let's bring John up. John, what's going on, buddy?
Right.
So it's no secret you love bass fishing. So I'm going to ask you the questions just to be formal. So, John, what would you say is a good fishing opportunity in Nova Scotia?
Maybe try some smallmouth bass, maybe.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Talk to us about the smallmouth bass. I'd like to know, I've had the pleasure of, fishing for bass in Nova Scotia in several different lakes. What is your favorite or number 1 and 2 fishing opportunities or spots for smallmouth that you want people to go try out?
I mean, the smallmouth bass, I would want to say that it's one of the most popular sort of fishing all year round in Nova Scotia right now. Probably one of my favorite lakes would be Shorts Lake or the chain of canals in the Shubenacadie. All those lakes just have a pile of smallmouth bass. I mean, from big to small, you're going to catch 1 or 2, at least, even on a bad day.
Well, one thing I noticed about Nova Scotia is sometimes the smallmouth behave a little different because of forage and because of circumstance. When I say that, there's no crayfish in Nova Scotia, right? Yeah. And there's a lot of weedy lakes. So, you'll find a lot of the times you find chain pickerel mixed up with the bass. What are some of the tactics if I want to try smallmouth bass in like Shorts Lake or some of the lakes that you're mentioning? What should I bring with me? How should I target them? What should I be doing?
I mean, it's kind of hard talking to a bass angler here because my boat's packed full of everything that Tackle Depot or Tackle Warehouse has. But I mean, let's just talk about one of my favorite times is kind of the springtime. I even brought some along with me here. Jerkbaits.
Jerkbait.
Yeah, this one's pretty bashed up, but this did really good on the spring. I mean, jerkbaits. You're kind of looking for the post spawn, the spawn. That's kind of my favorite time of fishing for bass around here. That's kind of when the weeds are not as developed, and yeah, that's a bass or a smallmouth on the shorts.
That's a hefty. Like, is that a big? Would you consider that a big specimen, an average?
I mean, I go by weight. A lot of people go by length, but that was I think it was 3.54 or something like that.
Oh yeah, anything over 3 pounds, I would say is a fair combatant when it comes to smallmouth bass.
Yeah.
And what about this picture right here? Where's that from?
That was the tournament on Morris Lake this year. And I forget the weights in them because they're all combined in one bag of fish or 5. But I believe one's probably 3, one's 3.5.
Wow, very nice. So as a bass guy myself, as you know, a lot of people have this misconceived notion that, in Nova Scotia, it's only small weights. And I think they get that because sometimes they see the tournament weights. Yeah. But I've had days of just, recreational fishing where I've had really good bites. You mentioned Shorts Lake. That's some of the best bass fishing I've seen in Nova Scotia so far. The other lake that I could kind of relate to is maybe Mushamush as well.
Yeah.
And I tell you, we caught some good ones down in Yarmouth. I don't know if you had the chance to fish down there yet.
Oh, it was down there 2 weekends ago now, but there's a cold front coming through.
Okay.
So I mean, we got on a few smallmouth, but nothing like we've seen on posts of 4.5.
What lake were you on down there, John?
We started off on Ellenwood. We did catch a 4-pound pickerel on there, so it was a good time.
Oh man, the pickerel are huge down there. It's crazy.
Yeah, so we caught a few bass on that, but then we went to Ogden Pete and Parr. I mean, even though we didn't catch a giant that we're looking for, a fall smallie, kind of the giants, but the scenery down there, different lakes, that's what gets me going. It's kind of the different lakes. As a tournament angler, I'm on the same kind of lakes almost every year.
But don't you get tired of fishing bass over and over and over again?
No, I've been doing it pretty heavy for 4 years now. It's all I kind of think about at work. I'm on kind of looking around, reading articles. It's kind of addicting. It's kind of like an obsession, kind of little on the sketchy side, I guess.
We have an incredible panel tonight. We're talking about trout. We're talking about shad. Now we're talking about smallmouth. Now, the thing with smallmouth is there's a lot of bodies of water in Nova Scotia that have smallmouth, right? And we're just scratching on a few of them.
That's what I was going to say. If you can branch off of these, I would say overused, kind of very public known lakes, and if you can find like the hidden gem, like Matt was talking about earlier about the sort of the brook trout, if you can find that bass hatchery that's kind of out farther, harder to get at, maybe private access, I mean, you're going to catch some good threes, just solid days of fishing.
And have you tried are these type of fish accessible from shore as well, or do you have to? Are these like only by boat?
Oh, there's a number of lakes down by my house near Sambro here. I mean, you're not going to catch 3-pounders, but I can go out after work and catch about 40 fish on the topwater.
That's pretty neat.
So
That's pretty
shore
neat.
fishing, bass fishing, I think is the best way to get someone out there and start kind of have the enjoyment. They fight hard. They're kind of easy to catch if you know what you're kind of doing on the right kind of day in the summer. So I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, and hang around. We're gonna circle back and have a little powwow at the end of all this.
Yep.
Thanks, Matt. All right, so we've covered 3 species so far, but I've mentioned this species a couple of times because when I think of Nova Scotia, I think of these fat, really fierce fish that absolutely taste tasty in a taco format. Thanks to Matzito. but I think there's one of our contributors here that wants to share with us a little bit about her favorite fishing opportunity in Nova Scotia. Hi, Jess. Oh, wait, I have you muted. Let me take you off mute. There you go. What's going on?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Absolutely great. So you're listening along and you're hearing all these great ideas and what the other guys are saying is their favorite. What do you want to share with us tonight as your favorite fishing opportunity?
It's really hard to choose one, honestly, but I have to give credit to chain pickerel, just because mostly I want to choose them because when I was first getting into fishing and I was looking for fishing opportunities around the HRM, really pickerel and of course bass, but pickerel were one of the first species that I ran into fishing. So, as times pass, I've kind of learned a little bit more about them, some of the negative and the positives, and I appreciate both sides. I know they're a very controversial species around here, but I wanted to share with people why they can be, so much fun to fish for. Some of the greatest memories I have when I was starting out with fishing was with chain pickerel, like those heart racing moments you get when you catch a fish, those have happened.
Here's a picture of a really fat one. That is a big chain pickerel. Like we don't see them that big down here in New Brunswick. I take a look at that picture. I know immediately that is a Nova Scotia chain pickerel. Just I can tell just by.
Yeah.
So you were talking about the adrenaline. What is it about the chain pickerel? Is it the attack? Is it the fight? What is it that you love about it?
It's both, really. I mean, when you're fishing for them topwater, I throw whopper ploppers in the summertime, but it's the attack is like nothing else. They'll just explode on it, and when they fight, they'll just tear drag. It's pretty sweet.
Now, so you mentioned topwater, you mentioned whopper plopper. Do you recommend more of a bait cast or spinning? Don't ask Mazzito that question. I'm asking you that question.
Honestly, I've thrown a whopper plopper on both. I think it's really just preference. I can't say 100%, for sure use spin or use bait caster. I think it's just preference.
Are you always using a leader?
I am, yes, because I've definitely lost a fair amount of pickerel. I would not recommend just going straight braid. They will shred through that. I don't really like to use wire leaders, but you definitely can use wire leader. But I usually use like a 15-pound fluorocarbon, and I wish I could promise you that they won't bite through that. But they, I find I have best luck with that.
Because you're getting so technical about it, what kind of knot are you using to connect the fluorocarbon?
I use an Alberto knot to connect my leader. Yeah.
Damn, I don't even know how to tie an Alberto, but okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this feller. Where is that from?
Yeah, that's on Lake Micmac, actually. Yeah.
Very, very nice. So, what are your favorite lakes to fish? Sorry, go ahead, Donnie. You first.
I was going to say, so this is basically you talked about when you were first starting out looking for opportunities. Radian HRM. So is this literally an urban fishing opportunity, or is this just within a few minutes of downtown? I'm thinking more from the perspective of someone who's in town on business or on vacation and got a short window.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely find them in urban HRM. I don't really know how far pickerel have reached in the lakes. I think probably pretty far, and there's probably some other people on here that can speak to that, but I've traveled outside of HRM down, down by Musquodoboit, and I haven't seen it down there. But yeah, I would say probably urban. You can definitely find them pretty much anywhere in HRM.
I think one of the keys and what I love about you highlighting this species is again accessibility, and I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've taken newcomers or children out and get them on a chain pickerel or in my background pike, which is very similar. And for them to experience a topwater attack in a shallow weed bed, I think everybody here on this panel has done this at some point, and whether they want to admit it or not, has smiled at like a little, and was very happy and excited about it.
It's hard not to when you catch a big one. It's hard not to be excited about it when it's tear and drag. You're just like, oh my god.
Exactly. So, what are your top 3 presentations for chain pickerel?
I tend to fish more finesse, so I fish a lot of like soft plastics. I use maybe like 4-inch, 5-inch flukes are great for chain pickerel, Senkos, that kind of stuff. You can use, swim baits if you want to, but that's pretty much what I use.
Pretty simple stuff. Pretty
simple, really simple. They're very aggressive, so they'll pretty much hit anything.
Okay,
honestly, but yeah.
So if I like just to go with what Donnie mentioned, I get one day to fish chain pickerel. Where are you recommending me to go exactly?
Close to the city. Maybe you could do like.
No, it doesn't have to be close to the city. Doesn't have to be close to the city. Anywhere. Where was your favorite spot? Where would you say, Ben, you need to go there to check out the chain pickerel?
Kinsack is pretty good. We got the king of.
I was waiting for it.
Here.
You said Micmac. That was it. I was closing the computer.
Well, I was thinking close to downtown area, so that's fine. But
Matt, how much did you pay her for that plug?
Seriously.
Not enough. She hesitated, apparently.
Awesome stuff.
No, Kinsack holds some fat fish. That fish that I caught was on Lake Kinsack, and my PB this year actually was on Kinsack.
Damn. All right. So, and last question, I heard, because I may or may not have spent some time with you this afternoon, that you recently picked up fly fishing.
I did. Yeah.
Have you landed a chain pickerel on the fly yet?
No, I haven't. No, I have not.
Well, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, until of course I get bit off a few times, I'll probably be cursing. But
that's fishing.
That's part of it. Yeah.
To conclude, to kind of wrap up the chain pickerel segment, Ben, you already mentioned it. Sabrina, that was on earlier from Fish Nova Scotia, is just another tip of the hat to Matt, saying the pickerel make good tacos. There you go. Matt's chain pickerel tacos strike again. Hey, Jess, thanks a lot. We're going to put you on the side studio, and we're going to bring you back real soon.
Sounds
okay, good. Man, I love going through all these cool species. Man, I've been really excited about bringing this guy up next because this guy's like Instagram just blows my marbles out, and I can't wait to get into his neck of the woods down by Cape Bretonway. Let's talk to Mr. Eddie Hillman. What's going on, Eddie? Hold on, I got you on mute. Let me get you off mute. My bad. There we go. What's going on, Eddie?
Hey, how's it going?
Well, thank you for staying patient in the back. I hope you're enjoying this backstage treatment.
Yeah, it's great.
First of all, kudos for winning the best background of our podcast. Holy smokes, where are you podcasting from? What is this room?
Thanks. This is my fly tying room.
You have a fly tying room.
Yeah.
I'm just nodding right now, like you have a fly tying room. that's pretty neat. Eddie, you recently joined our team. Thanks for being a part of it. Hope you're. We're really looking forward to all your contributions and all the stuff you're bringing to the table. But I'm going to go ahead and ask you the question, man. What is your favorite opportunity for fishing in Nova Scotia?
Yeah, my favorite's got to be the Atlantic
salmon, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us why you think Atlantic salmon is the ultimate for you?
Well, starting out they're pretty hard to. They're kind of sometimes hard to get. So it took me a while to get my first, and it took me a while to catch on to it. But I find it the most peaceful. Going through the river, you're swinging flies and just hoping for a tighten up. It took me probably 2 months to get my first one, and
now, when you say 2 months, how many days of fishing are you talking about?
Pretty well for 2 months, every weekend, twice a weekend, morning
Okay.
till night.
Okay.
But
Hundreds of
wasn't
hours. Hundreds of hours.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was just getting into fly fishing, so I kind of had to learn everything. So I didn't come from like a trout fly fishing background and switched over to salmon. I kind of jumped right in.
You started your fly fishing experience with salmon?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah. Sorry, that's blowing me away. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So
look
the first. Yeah, that was my best male I've got so far. Around this time of year, they'll start getting a nice type on them and getting them fall colors that are pretty nice. But yeah, my first fish I got, it jumped 3 times, big jumps, and it ran, and it went to go into my backing, and I forgot about backing, so I stopped him and broke him off.
Nice. And
from there, it took me a few more weeks to finally land one, but that really hooked me. And yeah, it's the running, the jumping. They're not feeding in the river, so you have to entice them or aggravate them, and you got to trick them. So I like that aspect of it, and when it all comes together and you get one, it's pretty cool.
I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
So, can you share with us a little bit more specifics? Like, where are your favorite salmon locations to target?
The Margaree River. Both of them fish came from the Margaree River, and it's when you're fishing for salmon, it's always beautiful. You're right in the valley in Margaree. There's this time of year, you have all the fall colors of the backdrop in the background, and it's a really good time. I met a lot of good friends on the river fishing for salmon, coming to pools. So you can go to pools on the Margaree that are very busy, and you can meet a lot of great people and have great conversations. And you can also travel off to different spots on the river, and typically they don't get much traffic, and you can just fish by yourself if that's what you choose to do.
Now for me, salmon fishing has always been something that was very distant for me as a destination to get to, because I felt very intimidated to get into the whole thing. And hearing your story about how you just kind of jumped into it, like right to the top, Atlantic salmon. Did you have any influencers or any mentors, anybody that kind of helped you along the way?
Yeah, so my wife's uncle, actually, he's the one who he told me on a trip, actually, one time. He said, you get some waders and I'll set you up with all the gear, and I think you should come fly fishing for Atlantic salmon. And I was intrigued but intimidated also. So it took me probably a month and a half, 2 months after that trip to finally say, okay, I'll give it a try. And yeah, I got hooked right away. He was good enough. He gave me all the gear to borrow, and then I liked it. I ended up getting all my own gear, and yeah, it was great. Like I say, everyone I ran into, lots of people helped me along the way, and it was good.
And just for the listeners, what weight rod are you using?
It's an 8-weight rod.
So you're using an 8-weight, huh? Okay.
Yeah, that's your typical for salmon around here.
8-weight rod, very best. I gotta say, if you guys aren't following Eddie's got some pretty spectacular pictures, not only for Atlantic salmon, but some brown trout, some rainbows. And we are coming down to see you, bye. We're going down Cape Breton, and we're gonna film a show. Donald and I talk about it like every night. Matt is like, man, I can't wait. So thanks a lot for sharing that with us, Eddie. We'll talk to
for sure.
Oh wait, you got something to say? Go ahead,
Don.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one quick question. What's your favorite fly for Atlantic salmon?
Oh, there you go.
I got a couple in front of me that I use right now this time of year. Actually, I got the purple grape. It's a marabou fly, and it works really good in the fall. And I also got another fly here. Sometimes this time of year in Margaree, the fish will they've been in the river a while, a couple months, and they get dark and not really want to take a fly. But I've always had luck on darker fish with Red Francis. Older fish seem to like that. So they're the ones I like to go to.
Well, honestly, I was expecting something a lot more exotic. Sometimes it's just basic. Good stuff.
Yeah, they work.
I trust you. I believe you.
I'm gonna say, as if I wasn't already intimidated enough to come to Cape Breton and pick up a fly rod for what will only be the second time in my life, and now I see this fly tying room. I might just stay at the hotel while you guys go fly fishing, because man, I'm gonna look stupid.
Don't worry, man. Eddie, promise to hold Donnie's hand. Promise.
Yes, we'll get you through it.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Eddie.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So as you can see, folks, we've got such a diverse crew, and we're going to finish off here before we circle back to everybody with our other member here, Mr. Nate. What's going on, Nate?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we love having you because you share a lot of pictures on social media. You did a nice video on Ned Rigs. So here's the big question to you, Nate. You've with your job, you've fished all around the world, really, right? And you live in Nova Scotia. So here's the question. What is your favorite fishing opportunity in Nova Scotia?
Yeah, well, it was a tough question, and I really had to think about it, and I kind of had to dig into the memory bank to think, what was a unique experience I've had in the Maritimes in Nova Scotia. And I think back to a time, I think I was fishing one of the urban lakes. It was either Micmac Lake or Lake Bannock with some friends, some local friends. And I hooked into a yellow perch, and I was super excited. I was like, oh, this is a nice, and it was a good perch. It was probably 10, 11 inches, good sized perch. And, my friend said, "Oh no, those are trash fish." And I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "There's literally a cult following to this species in Ontario. These guys, it's huge there." And ever since then, I've always kind of considered yellow perch to be one of the most underrated, underappreciated fish in Nova Scotia. So yeah, I'd have to say yellow perch are top of my list.
I don't know how many of the guys and girls on our panel here are surprised, but I'm not. I freaking love perch. I'd say it all the time. I know Matt loves perch, especially when you're catching guys like that.
Yeah, those are some big ones. So in the perch world, 12 inches is a what you would consider a jumbo, and there are smaller ones, but yeah, those are some good sized perch.
Now, are you targeting these fish all year round, Nate, like open water and ice?
So that's another reason why these are one of my favorites. Is you can target them all year round. A little bit different than bass and you compare them to smallmouth, where they're post spawn, pre spawn, and water temperatures affect them. Yellow perch are willing to take a fly, a worm, artificial all year round through the ice, open water. They're always willing to bite.
You just mentioned something which is very impressive for me because I haven't been able to do this yet. That right there.
Yeah. So like you, Ben, I'm new to fly fishing. Growing up in Ontario and coming out here with the Navy and being here for 10, 11 years now, I thought it was time to pick up a fly rod and kind of learn the local way of fishing. So I'm noob level, capital N, just like you said.
Yeah.
But what I did was before I went out and hats off to Eddie for going out and targeting salmon right away. I wanted to build up to it because those are some pretty crazy fish, like you mentioned, and these are the perfect fish to practice. They're willing to take a fly. And I've had a lot of success in shallow water, usually 5 to 7 feet. And usually when you find one, you find a bunch of them. So they're a lot of fun on the fly. And if you need practice and you just want to kind of learn and feel what a fish feels like on a fly rod, they're always willing to bite.
One of the things I preach a lot, and I think we discussed this earlier today, when you're catching perch as a bycatch, I get it. You're if you're targeting chain pick, you're targeting trout, whatever it is. If you're catching as a bycatch, you're probably not using the right tackle to appreciate, that type of fishing. But when you're geared with, let's say, a light action rod, lighter line, and a smaller jig, I think, man, it's a lot of great fun. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's so for me personally, when I target them, I don't actually own an ultralight setup. It's something that's on my list. And I the reason I say that is because a lot of times there's a lot of different species that like to hang around where yellow perch are. And the reason for that is they're one of the main forage here in our Nova Scotia lakes. So I also call them bass candy because big smallmouth bass love to eat big yellow perch. And so you just got to be aware of that when you're fishing for them. You set hook into something, a 16, 17 inch smallmouth on light tackle. So for me, the happy medium is anywhere from a 6.5 foot to a 7 foot medium action rod, 6 pound fluorocarbon. You're not going to horse the fish in. The bigger ones, they can still pull some drag and they're a lot of fun. And I will mention one of the best, being a member of the walleye family, a lot of people don't know that. They're one of the best tasting fish out there for sure.
Closest thing to walleye we have in the Maritimes as far as flesh.
Yeah. And they're just really pretty. You see a yellow perch, they're golden yellow with black stripes on them. And for kids, that was the other thing I was going to mention. If you want to take your kids fishing, a worm and a bobber, if you're in 5-6 feet of water and you see weeds on the bottom, there's a good chance if you set up a slip bobber system where your worm is just hanging right over top of the weeds, kids can have a blast catching these fish.
Yes. And what's your favorite lure, artificial?
Artificial. So this is a big secret, and Matt might be upset, but the Gulp Alive, the little. So I find the smaller the better. They're little Gulp Alive minnow shads, just like a split tail minnow on a little jig head. They work really well. I've actually, believe it or not, I've had a lot of success catching them on a Ned rig, especially the big ones, because you can kind of weed through the small ones with a 2 3/4 inch Ned rig. So, it seems, in my opinion, it seems to get the bigger fish to take it.
Awesome. Well, Nate, I share your addiction, brother. Perch for sure. Panfish life. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I can't let this guy go because, I need to know what his favorite spot is so I can go fish it with him. Matt, your turn, buddy. One spot, one opportunity. Nova Scotia. What is it?
Well, it's kind of a no-brainer for me. I fish everything, that. Multi-species. I fished every species. I've purposely targeted every species. Salmon is my favorite to target, but if I had to pick something that's unique in Nova Scotia, there's two unique fisheries. Striped bass and the Stewiacke is super unique here. You can't find it anywhere else. But the Bredor Lakes don't get really talked about a whole lot. And, that's one of the most unique fisheries around. It's a saltwater lake. It's half freshwater, half saltwater. And you've got all 3 trout species in there. You've got, salmon that come through there. Now, you don't catch many salmon in the lake itself. But there's stripers in there. There's codfish in there. There's flounder in there. There's mackerel in there. It's just such a crazy fishery. That would have to be it for me. Fishing the Bredor Lakes for trout. That's where I started. That's where my dad, first took me. Took me out to the East Bay Sandbar in the Bredor Lakes there, just about 15, 20 minutes from Sydney. And it was codfish that I started fishing for in the Bredor Lakes, and then later started to kind of target trout. But that's where he took me. He knew there was a lot of fish around, and sadly, there's not really many codfish around anymore. But that's kind of how I got really hooked into fishing, was fishing the Bredor Lakes. So it's a no-brainer for me. That's, if I could fish anywhere, that's where I would want to fish.
Now, when you say the Bredor Lakes, what species in specific? You have to choose one.
I have to choose one species. Oh, it's trout for sure.
Which trout?
Which trout?
Oh, you're making it difficult.
Yeah,
now,
making it hard.
You're making it difficult now. Oh,
quit going in circles.
Stop avoiding the question, will you?
I started. I started, and my target species when I started was rainbow trout, wild rainbow trout. So I think I'll go with that because I think they're the most difficult. The wild rainbows in the Bredor are actually the most difficult to catch.
Okay.
If I had to choose
clear
one.
something up though, because there are people. No, there are people watching. You're talking about wild rainbows. Explain why you specified wild, because there's people watching who may not know what the differentiation is and why there is not wild rainbows in that water.
So there's certain areas of the Bredor that most of the rainbow trout that people have been catching in the last few years are fish that escaped from the fish pens, from the fish farms, the aquaculture farms. So they're not wild in the sense that, you know, they were raised and escaped. The wild rainbows are a lot harder to find. I find they behave different, they fight different, and you know we do have a spawning population of rainbow trout that spawn in the same rivers that the salmon spawn in, and sometimes you know you'll be fishing for salmon in the rivers and you'll get one of these fish that are in there to spawn. So that's the difference, is that you know and the ones that escape the pen can't spawn. They'll try, they'll get in the rivers too, but they're sterile from what I'm told. So it's the wild ones. When you get one of those, it's just kind of like that good feeling. Oh, like nice wild fish here. So awesome. that would be what I would like to choose.
Here's what I have to say from what I've heard tonight, guys. And you guys can, you know, I'm going to make sure everybody's not on mute here because I want to take 5 minutes just to have a little discussion. You guys all shared tonight, you know, what one. Hold on a second. Okay, can you guys unmute yourselves, please? So I need let's see who's there. Nate, please unmute. And okay, Nate. John's good.
Nate.
So
Nate and Jess are muted.
Oh, Nate and Jess are there. Can you guys hear us? Nate, Jess, you can hear us? 1 second. Waiting. Or just put it on speakerphone. You'll be the only one. You don't need the headset. Everybody else is on headphones. All right. So here's what I got, Donnie, being the two people on this board that aren't from Nova Scotia but have had the opportunity to fish in Nova Scotia. Lots of great opportunities, right? All different type of multi-species. And I think my take on all this is my favorite place or opportunity to fish in Nova Scotia would be any of these species at its prime time. That's my answer. Like shad, you know, Ryan mentioned shad. Well, shad is only like a 2-3 week run. You know what I mean? There's a window of opportunity for each and every one of these species. And if you could find it within your schedule, right, to do this. Now, albeit perch all year, chain pickerel all year, and John bass, you know, you could target them literally all year if you know what you're doing. But the stuff, you know, but if you could make the time to target any of these species at the right time of year, it's a blast any way you look at it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to point out to you, Ben, when I joined the Atlantic Anglers Challenge, the first prize there is for the most different species. The first thing I did was looked at all of those species where you have those short windows, and my entire season of fishing has been based around, you know, if I have a short window when I can catch shad. Brown trout was a concern for me because I have a specific window where my opportunities are. I've literally based my entire year off those short windows of when certain species are the most attainable.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to the most in fishing Nova Scotia. I mean, obviously going to Cape Breton, going with Eddie and Matt, that's going to be spectacular. But the one thing that I've been dreaming about probably since I've heard about it is fishing the stripers in the Stewiacke. That would be for me on number one on my checklist of things to do because I've done it extensively elsewhere, like on the Miramichi. My curiosity is just killing me to see what the contrast would be because I've seen the pictures. I've seen the mudslinging. You know, Nate's bruiser that he caught this year. All those ridiculous pictures that Matt posted. They're huge. There's no question about it. But I'm so curious because, especially with last week's episode, we talked about the differences. So for me, that's it. What about you, Donnie?
the stripers in the mud is definitely intriguing. Eddie, I think I can probably throw this at you more than anyone. John, I know you're our bass guy, but Eddie's our guy in Cape Breton, and there's just something about the Blacketts and the Lake Ainsley smallmouth that is really calling to me to make that trip to Cape Breton, because quite honestly, for those of you who don't know me, I've driven truck for over 20 years, and I literally have driven through Cape Breton hundreds, if not, 1,000 times. And smallmouth fishing in Cape Breton has never crossed my mind until I found out more about it recently. So, that trip down to Blacketts and Lake Ainsley is, that's one I've got to make.
I agree with Donald there. I've been near Nova Scotia all my life, and I've never targeted bass in those two lakes either.
I heard, John, they're the biggest smallies in Nova Scotia live in Ainsley.
I don't know. I've heard that Ainsley, I don't know. This is just from a couple people, but I've heard Ainsley's real shallow, and there's not. I mean, if you think of Cape Breton, you think Atlantic salmon.
True.
I mean, I'm going there 2 weekends from now, and I'll give my try at salmon, but I'm no fly fisherman. But I don't think I would go there trying for bass. So that's why I'm kind of agreeing with Donald, because it's such a big lake and such an opportunity. I would definitely like to investigate that as well.
Absolutely.
Now, Eddie, you're our Cape Breton guy, and I think when you and I made first contact, we talked a little bit about bass. Actually, at the time, you had a post up, a fairly recent post on Instagram, and I believe you said that came out of Blacketts, was it not?
Yeah, the Blacketts Lake, yeah.
And I mean, you said you didn't have a scale, but I mean, I've seen a lot of smallmouth. And if you haven't had a chance, John, go to Eddie's Instagram and check it out. I mean, that's
what I'm thinking
as solid of a smallmouth as you're going to see anywhere else around the Maritimes.
Yeah, there's some big ones in there for sure.
We talking like 4 pounders or 4+, or
I've heard of 5+.
Yeah,
bit of a drive.
I would say the picture is a solid 4.
4.
That's what I.
I'm thinking from the limited amount I've seen, and from what I've heard, I'm thinking Cape Breton is Nova Scotia's Perth Andover. And John, you know what I mean by that. Here in New Brunswick, Perth Andover is known as the big bass factory for the province. And from what I've seen and what I've heard, Cape Breton is headed in that direction.
Yeah, and some people might not be happy to be hearing that. We're just bass heads, right? So we're going to go wherever it takes to catch big bass, and that's what it is. I want to wrap this up real soon. I have a question for Matt Falcom.
Yes.
What is a trophy speckle?
Trophy
in Nova Scotia? Yes, I always ask this question. I need to know.
It's probably important to make the distinction between like resident lake brookies and sea run brookies, because that's kind of a whole different ballgame.
Okay. So let's start with indigenous, wild, local.
Yeah, I mean, they're all wild and local, but there's the brook trout that leave the rivers and go out to feed in the ocean tend to get quite a bit bigger. And it's not really, I don't have a ton of experience with that. My thing is more like inland lakes and streams. But I would say trophy brook trout inland would be anything like 17, 18 inches. A really nice one is anything 16 and up, I think is accurate. Anyone else? I don't know.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And what about a sea run then?
When we're talking sea runs, I mean, I've seen guys catch, 23, 24, 25 inch. And I mean, those are big trout.
Yes. I think everybody knows I get pretty excited about big trout and big fish in general. So yeah, very, very cool. Now, have you found that secret backwood untouched lake where monsters live, Matt, and you're just not telling us?
You can travel location?
Yeah, I think I've got a couple pacts with some buddies, and I'm sworn to secrecy on exact locations. But Nova Scotia definitely has a couple of gems, and they're out there for sure. If you're willing to put in the work and get in deep into the wilderness, there are some monsters hiding out there.
Awesome, guys.
If we're willing to hike with blindfolds on, will you take us there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll throw the canoe on your shoulders and point you in the right direction and send you off.
I suppose we don't need blindfolds. Just stick the canoe on our head and let us lug it for you.
Exactly.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been a hoot, man. I'm really happy we got an opportunity to discuss all different kinds of species, all different kinds of opportunities. Thank you so much, our contributors here. Hope you guys have learned a lot, took some notes, and at least get inspired to maybe try something different. Go fish some shad, go in a canoe, check out some backwater brook trout, do bass. Man, bass are always fun.
Yeah.
Or go, start fly fishing Atlantic salmon, even if you have no prior experience like Eddie. That's how you do it. Head first. This time. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us.
Trial by fire.
Trial by fire. I know Nate and Jess aren't far away, so thank you to them as well. All right, guys. So,
cool.
That's it, guys.
Wow.
We did it.
Yeah.
We went through the province. We combed through the opportunities from tip to tip, island to mainland. Obviously, there seems like there's a lot of fishing to do, and hopefully with Fish East, we get to do a lot of it.
Yeah,
we absolutely get to do a lot of it. Up next, Donnie, we're going, like we said, we keep saying because we're excited, but we're going to Cape Breton, and we're going to see. Yeah, we're absolutely pumped for this. We're headed out there. When are we heading out there, Matt? End of October.
End of October 24th, I think.
Yeah,
week before Halloween, basically.
Yes,
we're going to shoot a Fish East episode there. They'll be airing on Wild TV. Mm-hmm. Make sure you, if you haven't already, check out our Facebook page, check out our website, fisheast.com. Our Instagram
we got a couple other shoots. We got a couple other shoots to get in the books before that one, so you gotta control your excitement.
Well, we're gonna go. We're gonna go target some striped bass in the Kennebecasis tomorrow. And we might do a little dinosaur hunting with some sturgeon fishing. How about that? Yeah, it's a little bit different. But
that's on my bucket list. I want a sturgeon. I've always wanted to. It's on my bucket list.
I'll tell you what. When you show me you can cast a bait caster, I might show you some sturgeon.
Okay, well, it'll remain a dream.
All right.
Call in sick tomorrow. I'll send you the GPS coordinates to the launch. Meet us there in the morning.
So there you go.
Done.
All right, Matt. I bid you adieu until the next episode. Thanks a lot, Matt Zito.
All right,
Donnie. I will bid you good night. We got some work to do in the morning, and I'll do a little closer, and we'll see you in the morning.
See you in the morning.
All right, guys. There you have it. Episode Nova Scotia. We tried to jam as much as possible. Thanks to Deirdre and Tim, who came on for Flow and talked to us about their continuing project, showcasing all the stories and the fly fishing and all the heritage that goes with that in Nova Scotia. Big shout out to the folks at Fish Nova Scotia, Sabrina and Andrew, for taking the time and sharing with us what that initiative all about. And of course, high five and fist pump to all the Fish East contributors that joined us tonight and shared with us their details and their thoughts on the best fishing opportunities Nova Scotia has to offer. Hey, it's been an awesome night. Again, we'll be back in 2 weeks with another cool episode. Next week, the next episode, I think, don't hold me to this, but I'm working on it, should be episode Muskie. So stay tuned. Muska Lunch episode coming soon. I'm your host, Ben Wu for Fish East. See you in 2 weeks. Fish on. Fish East.